Hey guys, I am here today to do a review of a book that is no longer new by a long shot, but it took me forever to get around to reading it, and part of the reason for that I'm going to talk about in this review, and that is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. As y'all know, I love Sarah J. Maas with a passion, but I definitely have some thoughts about this book. I did mention in my top 5 books of 2017 that of course I had to put a Sarah J. Maas book in there, but I put in A Court of Wings and Ruin, the other book that she came out with last year, because I had so many conflicting feelings about this one. Not that I didn't about A Court of Wings and Ruin either, so I mean you could check that out if you're interested. I definitely feel like in the last 2 books she's put out, I have definitely had some issues. With A Court of Wings and Ruin though, they weren't the kind of issues that super impeded my enjoyment of this. In A Tower of Dawn, they were the kind of issues where I didn't feel bad putting it down for like a month and then picking it back up and finishing it. Part of that is just because, you know, as you know, this is not a book about Aelin. This is a book about Kayall and Nesserin, basically what's going on with them while everything else is happening in Empire of Storms. So, yeah. There will be a spoiler portion of this video, but it won't come first. I'm going to go through a whole spoiler-free review first, and then I'm going to rant a little bit. And that is going to be spoilery. So I will let you know when the spoilers are coming, but until then, if you still haven't read this, you're okay to hang out with me. I feel like out of all of the characters in the Throne of Glass world, Kayall has definitely had the biggest and most interesting character development. Besides Aelin, obviously. She's obviously the heart and soul of the series, and when I heard that there was going to be a book without her in it, I was like, what is even the point? But I really do feel like as a fully fleshed out human being, Kayall, even as soon as, you know, Crown of Midnight into those next couple of books where, you know, the whole thing where, well, you love me, but you only like this part of me, and he has to realize that he's kind of an ass, and just that whole thing has really just been fascinating to watch, and I think that he's a really well-built character. And one of the things that I love about this series is their ability to not see romantic relationships as like, boom, you know, I met this one person when I was 16 and our eyes met across the room and I was done. And so I liked the, you know, the Selena Kayall, and then you have Nesserin. And so when this book started off and it started talking about how, like, you know, they were together, but they weren't, you know, exclusive, I thought that was cool, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be a great exploration of, like, you know, just a casual relationship or a relationship with issues, whatever. And then you have the other characters that are in this novel. The whole reason Kayall is at this other place is twofold. He's there to get a treaty with this other land that apparently has not gotten into this otherwise worldwide war so far. And also because they have like the best healers in the world. So he's in a wheelchair at the end of the last book, and there was definitely some grumbling even before this book came out, like, is this going to be dealt with okay? And for a long time in this book, I will say that I felt like Kayall's struggle with, you know, not being able to walk, his struggle with, you know, trying to learn how to deal with his maybe permanent condition, like, all of that was really, really well done. I thought that the world building was done really, really well for a world that has just cropped up in this book and really just had to be like set up, explored, you know, in one volume. I thought that that was really well done. I really enjoyed that. And again, I really liked the other characters for the most part. I did find that the princes were a little bit interchangeable. But other than that, you know, I really felt like there was some interesting character things going on and stuff like that. So all in all, it was really the kind of book that I enjoyed. The problem being that it just felt like filler, obviously, because the ending of Empire of Storms rips your heart out and then mushes it into like powder dust and expects you to pick up the pieces somehow. And then you get this book which is, you know, Kayall has no idea what's going on, and you have bits and pieces of the events from Empire Storms coming back in, but like, you just end up feeling like, okay, all right, like, give me this book after the next Turn of Glass. Like, I can't handle this. I can't. So I think that in a way this book was always sort of self-defeating, because if you've read the series, and I know especially there are some people who just really don't like Kayall, and there was a reason for that in the beginning of the series, I do think, and I think that if you didn't like him, you'll enjoy this journey that Sarah has brought him on. But yeah, I'm struggling at this point now, like getting into my ire zone of not going spoilery. So I think what I'm just gonna do is just be like, it was on the basic level of like another book in this series. It wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't bad. It was like the thing that I mostly expected this book to be, as like a filler period between what I consider the real Throne of Glass books, which are the ones about Aelin. So as someone who, like, I mean, I have the tattoo, like, I just didn't want this book. I wanted the next book. But anyways, here we go for spoiler time. Okay, so first of all, this thing with Kayall and Yrene, like, I have trouble even saying her name, because in a book series with so many great relationships that I love, why did we have to bring in the whole she hates him and he's annoyed with her and there's other guy that's into her? And so, like, it was like this weird-ish love triangle, which doesn't really bother me because it was set up in an actual natural way. Like, there's this other guy interested in her and she's like, oh god, please stop. But then, like, you know, she really doesn't like Kayall. She has to learn to, like, love the enemy and whatever, and the enemy is him. And I was just like, oh god, no. That just hurts me a bunch. And then she's also his healer. And I do feel like there isn't particularly a way that everybody was going to be happy with how Kayall's time in the wheelchair was resolved. I feel like there was always going to be, you know, people who were like, you know, he was such a great warrior, you can't leave him there, but also people who were like, you know, you had an opportunity to do something really fantastic with, you know, Kayall being a leader from his wheelchair, but then, you know, you let him walk again. And it all kind of like came together and imploded for me, because, like, again, in a book that's fantastic about building relationships, they go from hating each other to married. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. And also, at the same time, you have Nesserin finding someone else. And so there was some discussion there about how, you know, Kayall really started this relationship for, you know, rebound reasons. And, you know, I thought that Nesserin really cared about Kayall, but then, like, she finds somebody at the exact same time he finds somebody. So, again, that just felt like filler to a certain extent to have gotten us to this place. And then you have the fact that at the end, Yrene's magic is tied to keeping him standing. And so they're bound by magic and they're bound by marriage. And for me, in a series where a lot of the relationships felt natural and good, again, I have some issues, but on a whole, it just felt like, you know, are you two in love for, you know, non-magical reasons? Like, this connection that you have, this healing, this extremely personal journey of growth that Kayall is going on, that Yrene happens to be there. Like, it all just felt way mixed up in a way that, personally, maybe I'm just cynical, but I didn't trust it to go forward. And then when he was like, you're not only tied to keeping me standing, like, your entire job of your magic at this point is to keep me standing, and also you're married to me, I was just like, what? And then you also have the thing of, like, she didn't take him out of the wheelchair, but she didn't take him away from the wheelchair. It's like she saw the pitfalls on both sides and drove a middle path down. It was like, he can stand, but... And that for me just felt wonky, to be honest. I understand that that's a difficult position, but you wrote it there, and take a stand either way. Don't tie a marriage to the walking, to the healing, to the emotion. Like, it just felt really tangled, and like they got married because they were like, well, our lives are connected now anyway, so like, here we go. So I don't know. Maybe that's too harsh and cynical for me to say, but I just really didn't feel like the book wrapped in any kind of a way that I wanted it to. And I honestly, so where I stopped reading was right in the middle, where Nesserin goes off with her prince, and Kayall's like, oh, this is great because I actually really like Yrene. And I was like, okay, so there's just no conflict about this at all. You and Nesserin just kind of like, whoop. Which again, not that there has to be conflict, but they probably should have had like a conversation. I don't know. The whole thing just felt really, really silly to me. And again, I think that I had such a knee-jerk reaction because, again, one of the reasons that I champion these books and I love them so much is that I feel like the romantic relationships in them are done more roundedly than most other YA books that I read, and to have this book happen the way it did just was all sorts of crazy for me. So I don't know. I'd really like to hear what you have to say. I know that most people at this point have probably gotten around to reading this book, so if you feel similarly, if there is a reason that I am reading this incorrectly, obviously, I'm not in a wheelchair, so, other people may have read this differently, and maybe I'm just up in arms for personal reasons. I don't know. So if you have a different reading, if there's a different way that I should be seeing this, if I should just be a little bit more cynical, or if you agree, just drop me a line down in the comments, because I have feelings and I can't articulate them all properly in one video, so I'd love to chat with you about them down below. So if you'd like to do that, I will see you there, and otherwise I'll see you guys next week.